As we march further into election season, there is big spending in the state capitol. Yeah, we know that companies spend a lot of money on lobbying to determine the fate of key legislation, not only in our state, but also across the country. But when you really look at the numbers, you might consider them to be staggering. On this Wired Wednesday, we're checking in with GV Wire's news editor, Bill McEwen. Bill, good morning. We talk about staggering. Tell us, how much money is being spent on lobbying this year?
Well, good morning, Kim. I think when you think of California, you think of a big state, one of the world's biggest economies. So naturally, the spending by lobbyists is going to match. So for the first 9 months of this year, $358 million, more than a third of $1 billion spent on lobbying in the state capitol. That compares to a year ago, it's up by about $25 million. So there's a lot going on there, and the spending's primarily by big companies, unions, trade associations, and it gives you the picture that if you're the average person in California, you're trying to get something passed. Good luck if you can't afford a lobbyist.
You just named some of the places where the money is coming from. Is it truly influencing legislation?
Well, I think that it is, and it might not always be where a company wants to defeat a bill. What has been happening over the last, I would say, 10 years is they try to get the bill watered down or to soften the blow. And for example, this year, Chevron, which is the number one lobbying spender, they spent $10 million. And if you'll remember that, Gavin Newsom's wanted to tax so-called windfall profits in the oil industry. That indeed was passed, but it wasn't nearly as draconian as it was the first time. Kim, we also see a lot of big spending by other oil groups. And as you know, in California, we have these green energy mandates. And so the oil industry is fighting hard to protect its interests. A group called the Western States Petroleum Association spent $5 million on lobbying in the first 9 months of this year.
Wow. As we're getting into colder weather, we've both of our agencies, newsrooms have been reporting on the California Public Utilities Commission, which approves gas and electricity rates through PG&E. Are lobbyists working to affect their decisions?
Well, absolutely, because decisions by the CPUC can make or break an effort. And as we recently saw, the CPUC passed or approved, I should say, 24-hour day driverless taxis in San Francisco. And before they passed that or approved that, there was a lot of opposition, including from San Francisco officials. Once it was enacted, a lot of problems arose, and the CPUC had to backtrack on that. So when you look at the lobbying that is going on for the CPUC, in the first 9 months of this year, groups spent $2 million trying to, sell their story or whatever to the commissioners there.
All right, very quickly, Bill, are you seeing any problems with how these special interest groups are interacting with state leaders?
No, I mean, we talk about, is there outright pay to play? Recently, we haven't seen that at the state level. Certainly, there was that in the past. The thing I would bring up is that local governments, including many here in the Valley, they pay for lobbyists. And, it's kind of crazy to me that we give our local tax dollars, for roads, for improvements, maybe even incentives to help business. But then our tax dollars have to go to a lobbyist who goes to Sacramento to bring back the money that we already gave them. I don't know how you feel about that, Kim, but, that's just the reality. And cities that don't have lobbyists, they probably get left out sometimes.
Wow. Bill, thank you very much for joining us on this Wired Wednesday from GV Wire. We appreciate your insight. Great day. We'll be right back.